Speaker's Corner, and this is Rod. Rod's got an amazing banner here which advertises preparing the manosphere with Paul Elam, and also it mentions the war on dads and children. This is Rod, a regular at Speaker's Corner. Rod, you've been here a long time today. I'm sure you're very fatigued, but it's so good you're still here anyway. Do you want to say some words to the cameras about what you're promoting?
Oh, hello, I'm a men's rights advocate or activist. I've been at Speaker's Corner about 10 years now. I really enjoy just talking to people and challenging people. It's good to be in the real world, to actually say no to feminists. And I had a woman today who is supposed to be helping men who are victims of domestic violence, and yet she was still using the feminist narrative on men without even knowing about the PASC study from 2013 that says it goes both ways. She's still using the Duluth model, which she doesn't even know about, which is a feminist model about domestic violence from I don't know when, the 70s probably. And I'm not sure at all about that, but she didn't know anything. And she doesn't know about what a lot of men go through and the fact that there's no empathy or sympathy. And the fact is that a lot of women who may be victims of rape now aren't sympathised with because of a lot of phonies who they've expanded the definition of what the violent sexual crime is, and it's you can actually get a lot of money in compensation for rape, and I'm talking about tens of thousands of pounds, where if you're a man and you're brutally attacked, I don't think there's any compensation, I'm not sure. But a lot of women have been able to use this, and I think they should look into that because it's an incentive. And it's also, we don't look at women who find it so easy to lie about men because everyone believes all the negative things about men. And I'm not a mirror image of a feminist. If I was, I wouldn't be talking about the awful things some men do. I can talk about that quite freely. And we're very comfortable, which is easy because we're all comfortable talking about the awful things men can do. But we're not comfortable talking about the appalling things women do. And when you look at intention and the intention to manipulate or plan or use a group of women to help support you in false allegations against people, that's worse because there's a real intention there to lie, deceive, especially in a court, and ruin someone's life. And we don't look into that. Do men do that? Yeah, I'm sure there are men that do that, and I'm sure that's happened, and I'm sure there are men who will do that. But they're not the average man. Dysfunctional families, and a lot of the work of Erin Pizzi, who set up the first battered women's shelter, is where I get a great understanding for things from, where she said it's not a gendered problem, domestic violence, it's a generational problem of families where the culture of the family is abuse and violence, and the children come through it. And of course, in those, she found back in the early 70s, a woman who married badly, as they called it then, was easy to help. You got her and her children away from the violent man. The woman who came from a family like that was harder to help because she went back to the man or went to another man, dragging the children in that environment with her. And a lot of feminists come from dysfunctional families. But also the difference is that they're actually being taught at university and school and from play school that men are the baddies. You tell that to a woman who's a daddy's girl who loves her father, she's not going to go along with that. There's a lot of the best people in the movement are women who talk about men's rights, like Janice Fiamingo. She's fantastic. Girl Rights Watch, Karen Strawn is one of the top people out there. There's loads more. There's loads of more modern ones. I'm not up with who's who anymore because I'm just older, and I was there in 2016 to 2018 doing a lot of stuff. But I still come here. And there's a lot to talk about for men and women. And if people want a happy relationship, the last thing you need in it is feminism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Experts are preparing for what is known as Disease X, or the next pandemic virus. There is that target of being able to deploy, hopefully, a vaccine within 100 days of the threat being identified. How close are you to that particular target, to making that realistic?
So that is an ambition, so to get from an identified pathogen to a vaccine and to therapeutics within 100 days. I mean, to put it in context, that's about a third of the time that it took us to get a COVID vaccine into people's arms, and that was an outstanding record. Usually it takes about 5 to 10 years for a new vaccine to come through. Usually it takes about 5 to 10 years for a new vaccine to come through. So 5 to 10 years. So it is a really challenging ambition, and it won't work for all viruses and bacteria. Some are different shapes, some are more difficult to incorporate quickly.
You know what? I'm on my last fuse. And you just plugged in a dodgy kettle.
I was going to also say, I mean, as you mentioned earlier on, I'm a mental health worker. I worked in mental health for 23 years. And I know there's a lot of men and women, but there's a lot of men, especially young men, who are struggling with their mental health day to day, with high levels of anxiety, loneliness, which can in time for some turn into either more serious issues like suicide or self-harm, or go the other way and end up becoming anger and violence. Do you feel there's enough attention on helping men, or since the term toxic masculinity came about, a lot more in the I think it's post 2020, the term toxic masculinity was used a lot more in the media. Do you feel there's a lot of focus on the things that men are doing wrong rather than reaching out to men that do need help?
Definitely. If people are worried about misogyny, you need to look at how women treat men and how mothers treat their sons, and how school teachers talk to boys and how women talk to men. And the hate, people are getting sick to death of it. Men are getting sick to death. Some women are getting sick to death about how a lot of women talk to men. If the average man went around talking to people the way a lot of women go around talking to people, they'd get belted, they'd get assaulted. But women often can get away with it. And even if they did, someone hit them back, if they were being physical with someone, the man would still be held accountable for it, because the woman's seen as having no agency. Normally in the past, when you were the landowner or the king, you took the knee to the landowner and you went to war for him and you served him as a peasant. They changed that to where you actually take the knee and you bow to your wife or your woman. And we don't see that now, because all we ever do is talk about brutal men who hurt women, and there are men like that who do that. But what happens is the woman is no longer a person, she becomes a deity. So you end up praying to someone who's no longer a person, she's a godlike figure. And she thinks she is as well. See, in a good healthy relationship, the man and woman should submit to each other. And all the chivalry and the romantic love thing, that was all created. And the thing is, most in the past it was about dowry, where the bride's father would give money to the groom to provide for his daughter, so that she would bring something to the relationship, so that they both brought something, because he would be working and she would be working too and having children. Most people don't understand working class women worked as well as being mums, which is work anyway. They worked around the house. There were no buttons you could push to clean things. It was all by hand. But the trouble is with feminism and the suffragettes and all the rest of them, they were upper class women. They had servants. They didn't want votes for their maid. They wanted votes for ladies. Big difference. It's a class thing. And the arrogance that comes with so many women when they look at men and boys and their attitude, and school teachers who put the boys down, who expect those same boys to provide tax for them when they are on cruises when they're old ladies, you know, and who expect to retire earlier than men do, who produce more bloody tax and say, oh, well, that's because there's discrimination. No, it's because men earn more and often can work harder. There's plenty of women who work harder, but there's plenty of women who don't. And there's men who don't. But we don't recognise this thing. We assume that all women are the best women and that all men are closer to the worst men. And that's folly for men and women, because you're going to be dealing with people who are unpleasant and they're going to take advantage of you. And there'll be plenty of women who've been sent up the garden path by a woman who's a petty criminal.